What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another BroShoot podcast. We're actually filming this and recording this um, on a Wednesday because the past 2 days have been batshit crazy for me because I've been filming one of the bigger projects I've probably been on, in a long, long time. But I was spearheading this project for a client, and then essentially I was the director, producer, cinematographer, everything. So I just took up a lot of my time from Saturday to yesterday. I was from like sundown to sunup. Or sunup to sundown. That's right. I was busy, so I didn't have any time to film this podcast, but here we are. He's pissed off at me because he thought, I neglected him, which I did because I don't really give a shit about him. But
No, I'm not
anyways,
mad. I'm happy to see that you're doing a project that you'd want to do, something that you'd like to do.
yeah,
Kind
no,
of
I
more
mean,
creative. You can lean into your creative side, which is good.
yeah, it did push me creatively. And not only that, I think the hardest thing for me was when you're spearheading a project like that, everybody's just looking to you like, hey, how are we going to get this? How are we going to get that? How are we going to get this Airstream? We rented a Airstream, and that was a huge pain in the ass because it was really old and it was extremely dirty. So I had to spend 4 hours Sunday um, just straight up cleaning it, pressure washing it, all that, which took forever. And then on Monday, we're like, I don't even know if we're going to use it because we almost used another camper. And I was like,
Mhm.
dude, but that's just part of it. You kind of have to roll with the punches.
Yeah,
Um,
that's rough. Or
yeah,
that would have
yeah,
been rough if you didn't use it.
yeah. But I rented that Black Magic 12K, the Ursa Mini, and I had that Cook 50 millimeter lens. So, so crispy, dude. I loved it. I
You gonna
was
get
doing
one?
some, I mean, no, because I can't drop 30 grand on a lens. So that's why I had to rent it. Um, yeah. And if you're wondering, I have for everybody that's watching, I had this huge bug bite on my neck. I don't even know if you can see it, but
You can't.
we were
Your mic's
outside.
covering it.
Oh, that's good. We were outside majority of the time, a lot of exterior shoots. But it was one of the more fun projects I've been on because I do like, there's something about being the one in charge. Yeah, it's very stressful. And at the end of the day, you want to like off yourself. But there's something about, hey, it's,
Oh,
yeah, that's too far. There's something about everything being on you and everything coming together, and you look back at the footage and you're super proud of what you did and what you accomplished. There's really no better feeling than that. And I haven't had that feeling in a long time. So good shoot. I'm excited to edit it. And I've been color grading a little bit today in DaVinci. I usually don't color grade in DaVinci, but this is all B-raw footage. So you kind of have to.
I
I
didn't
probably
know
need
that
a,
that was a. So DaVinci is better for B-roll. I probably won't go into that too
yeah. I
much, but
mean, yeah. Well, DaVinci and Black
for those who
Magic.
don't know, DaVinci is editing software, if kind of like
Yeah.
Premiere Pro or Final Cut, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
But if you film anything on Black Magic, you're going to color grade in DaVinci just because they have so if you buy a Blackmagic camera, you automatically get free DaVinci Resolve.
Oh,
I
that's
guess
cool.
yeah.
DaVinci
So
Resolve is on the come up, man. Like more and more people
yeah,
are switching over.
one of the bigger his name's Sam Calder. He's one of the bigger cinematographers, like I guess influencer cinematographer, and he switched over to that, and then I'm sure they paid him a hell lot of money to do that because
Yeah.
he did like a whole course on it, and he's been pushing it so hard, and he has like millions of followers. So anyways, I was super, super happy and proud of that project. We had a big team on it, or big team for me, small team for like a regular production, But actually, Nikki, who's has been on the podcast, he was like the AD, so the assistant director. I mean, also production assistant, a runner. I mean, he just did everything, but he did an awesome job directing and kind of he's acted for a long time, so he was able to uh, he was able to kind of guide the actors who haven't acted that much. They're more so models. There was no actual lines within the film, but because it's going to be powered, like I guess, guided by a voiceover. Um, but dude, Nikki was cracking me up because cool thing about Nikki, man, is having him and I'll just like yell, "Hey, Nikki, tell them to do this, tell them to do that." They can literally hear me say this, and I could probably just say it, but I'm also manning the camera, trying to make sure I'm pulling focus properly and everything's in frame and everything's exposed correctly. Nikki just he'll yell, he'll make an ass of himself, or just not even an ass of himself, but he can like he doesn't take himself too seriously, so he's just yelling at everybody, telling them to do this, telling them to do that, but in a nice way. Everybody loved him. He's probably one of the favorites on set just because he can focus only on like giving people direction, whereas I'm over there just like stressed out trying to figure out all the ins and outs and the logistics of the shoot. So, anyways, I'll stop talking about that. That's what I've been doing the past 3-4 days, and then before that we were doing all the pre-production stuff along with other projects. So
The
man,
entire
yeah,
time you were talking, there's just damn fruit fly flying around. He's making me so mad. Just flying in front of my screen. But Holt, do you want to tell them what we're kind of covering today? I think
yeah. So we are covering the Rings of Power. They just came out with a new trailer, and I haven't even watched it because I wanted to react to it live or on the podcast with Wells. So we're gonna watch that. But before that, we're gonna do some trivia. Cue the music, Wells. Cue it.
we're gonna do some trivia. I completely forgot. I'm so bad.
Dude. The first question. Wells, you ready? You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
What is the budget for the Rings of Power TV show? Is it A, 500 million, B, 750 million, C, 1 billion, or D, 1.3 billion?
The budget for the Rings of Power TV
Like,
show.
not just the first season, like all of them combined.
Oh. Um I know it's not 500 million. That's not that much for a production.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot, dude.
It's a lot, but this is a TV show we're talking
But
about.
yeah, and it's also Amazon. So like, you think about it. The last
I remember
season,
the numbers that were floating around a few years ago was in the 1 billion category, like that
Yeah.
kind of number. I think I'm gonna go with C, 1 billion.
You would be correct.
Let's go, man.
Yeah.
I love getting
So
trivia questions right.
yeah. So you remember when Game of Thrones came out the last season?
Oh yeah.
That was like it was 100 million for I think a little over 100 million for the last season.
Oh.
Or something crazy like that, or like each episode was like.
I'm pretty sure it was more than that.
Yeah. Hold on. Maybe it was each episode was like 100 million.
I wish
Anyways,
we had a guy that we could say.
hey Jamie.
But 1 billion, is that how much they have for every season? Like the rest of it?
Well, the first season's like 450 million.
That's not really how shows work. I doubt they have a next season lined up yet, but
no, they don't. But I know I know the first season is going to be the budget's like 450 million or something like that. Obviously, they have to have that figured out.
Right.
But anyways, okay, you got one right. We're only doing 3 today, guys, because this show hadn't even come out yet, so I didn't really know what to ask him. But
on to the
question
next
number 2. What Lord of the Ring characters is Amazon planning to make spin-off series about?
I actually read this the other day, and I don't think that Amazon should do this, but I've heard, and this could be completely wrong, I've heard that they're doing a spin-off of Aragorn and a spin-off of Gandalf. That's all I've heard. So
yeah, that's 2 of them. There's another one with Eowyn and Gollum.
Wow.
The first two I could get down with. Like, I don't think it's a good idea because they're probably going to ruin two of the best characters. We've talked about this before, but two of the greatest characters in cinematic history. But man, I don't know who they would cast for that. Because you got to think
Why
about
are
like that.
people why are people incapable of writing a new story inside of like I love Aragorn, I love Gandalf. They're my two favorite characters in Lord of the Rings. But why can't you just like I thought the Rings of Power was a good idea. You go back to an age that hasn't been explored yet. I won't get into my opinion of what's come out yet, but I liked the core idea of what they're trying to do. Is Tolkien's world, but they're telling a story that hadn't been told yet. But when you've milked, we've milked that era dry. I think it's time to put that Aragorn, maybe Aragorn pre
No,
Lord
but
of the
it's
Rings is
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
cool. But
That's what they're talking
I
about. They're
don't
talking
know,
about
dude. It's not going
the
to be Viggo
Dunedain.
Mortensen, dude. I wouldn't do it.
Well, they're talking about the Dunedain. They're talking about the Ranger side of him,
A
which
video
we did.
game maybe, but not a show. That's just my opinion.
Well, I think you're right. They could do a movie, but a TV series,
Yeah, I
like
wouldn't do a TV series.
that's just a lot. They're going to stretch it. Yeah, they're going to
I
stretch
would
it.
do a single movie, if that.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I wouldn't touch
either.
Gandalf, especially. I would maybe do Aragorn.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do
the thing about
Gandalf.
Gandalf is like, there's where do you stop and where do you begin? Because
Also, he's been in 6 of these movies, of these
yeah,
films. It's time
yeah.
to put that down. Is Gandalf going to be in the Rings of Power?
I didn't see anything about that, but hey, that leads us into the next question. That's a good segue. All right, Wells, you ready?
Yeah. There's a freaking freak.
And the third and final question, we'll say he got 2 right. Okay. What 2 famous elves will be central to the Ring of Power series?
Galadriel and oh god.
Oh man, he can't even think of
That
the.
that one's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude, no.
Dude, come on.
I hate when this happens. It's not Eowyn.
No, you got
Um,
who owns these rings of power?
I know. Oh, Sauron.
No.
He was an elf. That's
Well,
technically right. That's technically right.
no, but I'm talking about the
That's
2
right.
like that. Elrond.
Um,
It's Elrond. You just couldn't think of his name.
oh my god.
Yeah. Well, technically, I guess Sauron. I'll give you that. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, he was an elf. Dude, I'm actually really mad about that I got Elrond wrong. That's really
Yeah.
bad. But I couldn't think of it. So I don't know.
Well, it's okay. Trivia's over. You did pretty good. You did pretty good. I'm sipping on
I
this
appreciate it.
Nespresso again. Get me zoot poot.
All right. So before we partake in viewing the trailer, what are your expectations for this
People keep.
TV show?
I mean, people keep asking me this. When I first heard, man, dude, when I first heard about this, I was so excited because,
I remember
it's been
exactly where we
since
were.
2000. It's been almost 20 years since we've got any new type of Lord of the Rings content. And man, I'm getting a call from one of my business peeps, but I'm not answering that. That's how important this pod is to me. I was so ecstatic because like, oh, they're gonna, your hopes are high, you are naive, you don't think about everything that can go wrong. And then as I got more into film and I got more into like understanding, well, the landscape has changed a little bit when it comes to shows being created and how they're being created. I got a little bit more skeptical about how I thought the show was going to go, especially after seeing all the Hobbits. So my expectations are very, very, the bar is really low, just because I don't want to get my hopes up and I don't want my soul to be crushed, and then I don't want to go to bed depressed at night thinking about what could have been.
I always
So
say
that's
it's better to be surprised than to be disappointed.
yeah,
So if
yeah,
it's better to have low expectations and it exceed expectations than for you to be so hyped about it. Which I remember whenever they first announced it, I was like, Amazon has this insane like a budget. They have this so much money, and me and Holt used to live together a while back, and they had like officially announced the show. I guess this was 3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago,
Yeah, it was a
but
while. It
it
was
was
a
a
while
long
ago.
time ago. And I was like, dude, Holt, they have a huge budget. I remember Holt said um, that a big budget isn't always the best thing. I was excited because I was like, they can do anything. Like they have so much
Okay, that's a good
because
point.
because
That's a good point you made.
restriction.
Yeah.
Yeah, because restriction breeds creativity.
Yeah, when you're okay, so you think about the Game of Thrones series when they first started off, or any good series that started off, they didn't have a high budget, but they had a great idea and they got a bunch of people working together and willing to do anything, willing to do whatever it takes to make this thing work. And yet, like you said, with restriction comes more creativity. You have to think outside the box, and you don't. Another way to put it is this: when you have everything at your fingertips, what does that make you? It makes you lazy. So when you become lazy, and the more money you have, another thing about having more money like that is more responsibility, more people you have to run through, more people you have to please, and you have to get um, approval from and advice from. So the smaller the budget, not always better. I mean, you can make it work with a big budget, but there just comes with a lot of strings attached. So good point, Wells. Good point.
And honestly, I think something that um, I've talked about this so many times in the entertainment space. People want to blame directors, writers, all that stuff a lot, and a lot of the time it is directors and writers that are at fault. But what people don't understand is there's people who have huge stakes in these kind of movies and shows that want it to be a certain way, and you literally can't go against. Well, I'll just call them shareholders. You can't go against what the shareholders want, or you are out of a job. So
It's
this
kind of
happens in
like,
everything. This happens in games. It
yeah,
happens in
it happens in
shows.
sports. It happens in, one of our favorite
Um,
football teams, our favorite football team, happens all the time. Run by people who have the money.
and my favorite
They are
soccer
the
team.
ones, yeah, they're the ones
Yeah,
who call the shots. And if you don't please them and you don't, essentially get on your knees for them, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good you are at what you do most of the time.
yeah, and
So at some point, you have to relinquish control and trust the person with a vision. And but
that's why you
whoever
hire
that
them.
is, yeah, yeah. So that's the only way to run a business. And I understand. I mean, that's what I'm learning too, man. Like I can't do everything by myself. I have to hand things off to somebody else and trust that they're going to do a good job and get the job
Delegate. That's
done.
the word.
Delegating, yes.
Yeah,
There you go.
delegating power is
But so
that's like
yeah,
one of the
so
most. Sorry, Holt. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no,
That's like
you're
one of
good.
the most important. I'm not gonna act
Well,
like I'm a manager or anything, but that's one of the most important traits someone who manages people can have.
yeah.
And managing is at all levels. I mean, the people who the shareholders of these huge productions are managing the production, and they should delegate to people who they've hired to do that job.
Well, they need to. So what I've learned is I'm not a good people manager. Um, so I like to call the shots and I like to be pulling the strings, but I don't like also dealing with people and people managing. So you need to hire someone that can people manage as well. That's a whole different aspect of whatever production you're or whatever business you're in. I mean, you can't. That's why you have managers, man, and that's what they're good at.
Yeah.
Um, that all goes back to delegation. But yeah, so back to what we're talking about. Let's freaking react to this trailer. I have not seen it
I'm
yet.
excited to see how you react to this. All right, let me
Yeah.
pull it up here. Let me make sure that I have my. All right.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything.
brother gave his life hunting the enemy. His task is now mine.
Speak your truth. We already know.
Stand with me. Ours was no chance meeting.
Search your mind.
Not fate,
It's written in gold.
nor destiny. Ours was the work of something greater.
Don't say no. Let it unfold out. And we'll take the embrace.
Oh, are those supposed to be wargs?
I don't know.
Everyone must decide who we shall be.
Still your mind.
I am not the hero you seek.
With oceans below.
Whatever it was you did, be free of it.
One day this will be your kingdom.
Raise your sail. And then let go.
Choose not the path of fear.
That's a pretty cool shot. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
yeah. I mean, all these shots are cool. It doesn't.
One thing we can do, better than any creature in all Middle Earth, we stay true to each other with our hearts even bigger in our feet.
Circus?
No.
We can survive this. You and I.
Commander! Wait!
No, we keep moving.
Why do you keep fighting?
There is a tempest in me.
You have fought long enough, Galadriel. Put up your sword.
Without it, what am I to be?
I mean, what's up with the music? First off, that is
Yeah.
not like. Let's just pause it right there. That's not Lord of the Rings music.
Yeah, that part.
The
I
soundtrack
saw
threw
a
me off.
comment. I think I saw a comment under the video when I watched it first, and I was like, "This. I hope this is not the music that's in the show, because it sounds nothing like Lord of the Rings." And music is a huge part of, I mean, any kind of TV show, movie, anything that you
It
had.
sets the tone. It sets the tone immediately, and so I can understand why they might not want to like, follow strictly in Lord of the Rings footsteps. But the tone was already set with Lord of the Rings. Like you can't then go back and The Hobbit. I mean, The Hobbit still had a good soundtrack, even though we're not
Yeah, it did.
huge fans of it. You can't then go turn around and completely change the vibe of and the tone of said Middle Earth. You know, it
Yeah.
sounded like 50 Shades of Grey music. Like it sounded like Kygo, dude.
Yeah, it
I mean,
was.
it sounded like love making music. It was weird.
I don't understand like what's all right, if you're going to do a show at the scale that Middle Earth deserves, I think you go with a orchestral kind of sound.
Yeah, like a lot of organs,
like
and
huge band, like a huge orchestra. That way, in a big room, that way you can get that kind of like really big
because it's so
feeling.
big. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good point. I don't think of music that way, but that because the world is so big, and so I don't even know how to properly put it into words because there's really no words, but it's just bigger than you. You need to have a larger than life feeling and sound behind it. So yeah, I guess I don't even know if like an orchestra. I don't know how what you. I guess orchestral is that even a word?
orchestral.
Orchestral.
Yeah, that's a word.
But that's a good. Yeah, that's a good point to be made. Yeah,
But-
I agree with you. But aside from the soundtrack alone, which is half the movie, it seemed like there was a lot of love interest within. You know, if you go back, there's a lot of male female dynamic. And what I liked about Lord of the Rings a lot was, yeah, you had, I guess Aragorn's the only one that could pull anybody because he's the only person that had love interest in it. I guess it's because he's the heir and he wants to pass down his seed or whatever. But
Yeah.
other than that, like nobody was driven by that desire. And that's what I loved about it a lot. Women might not have liked it, so they might be trying to be appealing to the female demographic. But yeah, I'm not. There's nothing wrong with that. It is a series, so it's longer. So you probably are going to want to develop some type of relationship between male and female. But
Right.
and
What
is
do you
this
think
here?
about
What is that? Is that a hobbit?
I think it is, yeah.
They look like fairies. They look like. Have you ever
So-
seen? Sorry, go ahead.
So a gripe I've heard with of course that's not a hobbit, but a gripe I've heard with the show is that hobbits, and they've said this, is that they are supposed to be nomadic in this show.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
I mean, I guess
that
there's
goes against literally everything I've ever heard about a hobbit. I'm not
Yep.
a master of lore. I'm gonna be honest. There's so much stuff I don't know about Lord of the Rings, but from someone who has read, I've read the first book. I haven't gone on to read the other two, or in a long time. I read them, but it's been a long time, so I don't really remember. But from what I hear about the hobbits, and you gotta understand, a lot of these people who are watching this show have never seen or have never read the books, so it's kind of like really weird to see them not act like hobbits.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know.
I'm gonna be fair to the show writers and creators, and you can. There probably were. I mean, I've recently read both, like all the books, so, and not once did I hear about. To be fair, the hobbits don't really keep up with history that much. Like they know, um, they're really big on names and namesake, but the history isn't super deep. They don't know much past X amount. Same with anybody in Middle Earth. It seemed like if you go back and read The Hobbit, you go back and read uh, The Fellowship, but The Hobbit specifically because I just read that. Um, People at Lake Town, it was only a couple of generations back that Smaug was prevalent, and they're like, oh no, that's a fairy tale. So it seems like in Middle Earth people forget very easily and they move past stuff. So maybe hobbits
That's
were
a good point. That's a good point.
yeah, maybe hobbits were a big thing, or nomad hobbits were a big thing. It does go against everything we know about hobbits, but you can kind of play with that a little bit. I don't know. I don't really like that either, but whatever.
And
Maybe it'll be cool.
there's actors and actresses, or there's an actress that has come out that is in the Rings of Power and talks about inclusivity and representation in the show and all that. And all right, that is fine. You can it doesn't all right. That's fine. The problem is when that takes precedent over everything else. And I haven't watched the show.
Don't force
I
that.
I don't
like,
know.
Don't force that issue. Don't try to plug that into something that doesn't need to be plugged into. You cast how it's meant to be cast. Don't cast with political correctness lens on. Like, oh
Yeah.
well, we have to be equal opportunity. Like if that said person is the best fit for that role, then yes, cast them. It's almost like, okay, it's like the new James Bond thing, 007, where they're trying to cast African American or black person. That's fine, but a 007 agent was they're of Scottish descent, like they're blonde, blue-eyed, blonde-haired. That's kind of what they are meant to look like. So why force that issue, or that why that's not an issue, but why force a character that's not meant to be in there? It's like forcing a white person into a black person role.
Yeah,
I just like you would never do that. Again, I'm not saying they might have chose the correct people for these as far as casting goes for these roles, but I mean, it does seem like they are pushing females a lot more in this show, and that's fine. I love a good strong female lead, but not when it's kind of like they're forced into a masculine role. Like I hope, what's her name? The main character,
Galadriel.
Galadriel. Sorry, it escaped me. I hope because she's meant to be the most beautiful being like of all Middle Earth, and I hope they don't take her femininity or feminine nature. I don't even know if that's
Femininity.
femininity. Anonymity.
We understand.
Her feminine nature away from her, because that's what made her so great, and that's what makes her so powerful. Like I don't like when they try to force, and this gets into a whole another issue, but I don't like when they force like a masculine nature on these females what their power is, them being a female and being feminine. So anyways, because Galadriel, Tolkien wrote her as being the most powerful being in all Middle Earth, and from what I know, I just don't want them to take that away.
So something I want
I
to
don't
say
know how we got here.
We got here because we're talking about, kind of. I've seen clips of the actors and actresses, kind of speaking on the diversity of the show, and
Just make a
kinda-
good show.
kinda like social activism.
Just make a damn
activism.
good show and
And-
stop pushing
yeah.
that issue.
Just if you make a good show, no one cares.
Yep.
That is literally it. Just make a good show and no one cares. But something I do want to kind of talk about is
Well, it's
the
not a good
way-
sign when the actors are already talking about, oh, I'm proud of this because we're pushing inclusivity.
right.
No, I don't. Yeah, I mean, yes, I want to be inclusive, but that should just happen organically. That shouldn't be forced, as we've been saying. But sorry, go ahead, Wells.
I want to talk about how, closing out on that point, I kind of wanted to go into what I don't like about the trailer, about the show visually, because as far as we don't know the story yet, we don't know the characters, so we can comment on that as much as we want. But what we do know is what the show's going to look like
Yeah.
visually, and this doesn't look like Lord of the Rings at all. This looks like a cutscene in a video game, which I've said before. It's what they did with The Hobbit. They don't look like real human beings. They look like, if you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but if anyone listening has seen like the World of Warcraft expansion trailers,
It kind of does it like WoW.
literally looks just like it. I mean, there's a difference there, but honestly, Galadriel doesn't look like a real person, and
in that one climbing scene where she's climbing up that
yeah, that's
cliff face. But I did hear that she's not gonna. I mean, that's obviously all CGI.
Yeah, this is CGI. Like
That
this has
literally
to be.
looks like Assassin's Creed.
It does. It looks like those like trailers that they release for video games before they come out and everyone gets hyped. Like, is the game really going to look like that? No, it's not going to look like that. But
Yeah, the cut scenes, the cutaway scenes would. So yes, go. There's a lot we can break down in the cinematography, but what we've always go back to is that shot. Go back to the smoke rolling over the hills shot.
that's the kind of stuff we like to see.
That's what I like to see, because that's not in studio. They went to, I don't know where they went to. Kind of looks like Montana, but it's probably not. Probably like New Zealand, or it looks like it could be in like Japan or something.
I think that's probably actually, yeah, you might be right. But I don't think.
But it doesn't
probably
matter.
New Zealand, because that's
Yeah.
been set as kind of like the
Yeah.
location of these films.
Yeah.
But
I like to see that. But then you go back and everything looks in studio, or like, I mean, obviously that's still a really cool scene.
I've been dying, dude. I've been of all the things I don't
Yeah.
like about this show, I've always really wanted to see a dwarf city like
Yeah.
in full flow, kind of like them really. I'm assuming this is a dwarf city. These look like dwarfs right here, but I really wanted to see kind of like how the dwarves lived, but
Me too.
on screen.
Yeah, and in their heyday, in their prime, when they,
Yeah.
are actually, being smith or smithing or whatever you want to call it.
This
They,
looks like Lord of the Rings to me. This
yeah,
shot here. I think this is great
yeah, I
because
like that.
you have this. This is I think to the left. It's so hard
That's,
to tell. I think this is real.
that's like
I
a
think this is
miniature
all
model.
caught.
That's a miniature model, and then they green screen the rest of that to the
Yeah.
right.
So this looks absolutely
They
amazing.
didn't obviously they didn't green screen down there, but then they green screened all that back there. But yeah, I like that too because I mean I cannot wait to see dwarves in their heyday. And because you always see like the remnants of what they've built, but you don't see it in action, like Mines
Yeah.
of Moria and stuff like that. But the, I don't really like after just reading The Hobbit. I'm not like I don't really like dwarves that much because they're just selfish, greedy. Their minds just warped so easily. I mean, all they care about is gold, silver. Um, it's just they're not. I just can't resonate. I guess
Yeah, and apparently I think this is supposed to be um an elf.
he
That
is.
looks yeah. But
I
I
don't
don't
know
want
about
to
that. I don't
I
think
don't
so.
want
He's he.
I'm scared to comment about a lot of stuff on the show because I've seen so many people like on TikTok and YouTube who just know so much about Tolkien's universe,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure I've seen this guy labeled as an elf. Um,
I don't think so.
if it is, no, immediately, but
Yeah.
um, it might not be. So let's go to this shot of Galadriel here. This is the kind of stuff that drives me insane. Because th- it just doesn't look real.
It's not. There's not moody. It's like a commercial shoot. It's like they lit it too well. There's no like contrast there. It's too. I
It's
said it last
overlit.
time. It's too ethereal. It's too out of touch with what we know. We can't access whatever world they're trying to build here. That doesn't look real. I mean, that looks in studio. Looks like they threw a green screen behind them. They lit all them way too damn much, and that's a pretty cool shot. But still, even that looks like a damn video game.
Yeah, that's my main issue with these kind of these new Lord of the Rings shows, especially like The Hobbit did. I've said that a lot, but The Hobbit did this is very similar in how they kind of have that orange yellow glow on every single shot.
With the
This match
Hobbit,
cool.
though, yeah, with the Hobbit though,
That's
the Hobbit. Even when reading the Hobbit, I've said this before, but the Hobbit kind of seemed a little more cartoony, anyways. Like it wasn't meant to be um attainable. Like everything that they did in the Hobbit seemed like it was just too far fetched to be a real true place. Like, but in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, it seemed like Middle Earth could have possibly been like a real true place, so you could see yourself in it. But with the Hobbit,
right.
I never really saw myself in it, other than Hobbiton or the Shire.
The human eye can tell when something isn't lit in a natural way,
Yeah,
and it can tell whenever things are a little bit off. And
I actually like that. I like that
this
because
shot right
that
here,
was filmed. That was filmed on location somewhere.
yeah, this is. I think a show that I kind of go to often is Game of Thrones and how
Yeah,
they shot
Dark
on
Kingdom.
location a lot, and they kind of let the lighting of the location kind of dictate. I mean, it's pretty common. I mean, this is film stuff, but the lighting kind of dictates what it looks like on camera. It almost feels like they filmed somewhere in this show. Or in the Hobbits. They filmed somewhere and they're like, dang, I don't like the way that lighting looks. And they like added lighting in post. It's like
So what they're probably doing is they have such a large crew. They're overcomplicating each of these lighting setups. It doesn't have to be that difficult. Obviously, you have motivating light. You could see right there where those windows are coming in. They have that a big key light right there. They have the practicals in the background with the fire and that little ring light up there, the chandelier. A few other practicals, and they probably have a bunch of negative fill on the left side. They're probably just adding. I like this shot though. So this shot's incredible because
Yeah, but we're
they
always
did
gonna
do
li-
it. That too. I mean, I like that. I like a high. I don't know if it's a tracking shot because I can't really tell, but
I can play it real quick. I'll play it without the
like a
volume.
high wide. Yeah,
They're chasing after these guys.
I like a lot of these shots because all those are on set. It seems like. But right there, like if you go back to
It's really fast.
yeah, go back to when they're sitting around the table. Right there. Yeah, see, like that's way too much light. Again, they're probably in like Rivendell or something.
That's true,
or,
because if the lights are coming off, if the light is coming off,
well,
these,
there's like a
then-
chandelier in the middle, but you see right there, it just seems like everybody's lit too perfectly. There's no contrast.
Yeah,
there's no-
you don't have to see everyone at the table, but I mean, I get that's why they're doing that. But like,
but it is an elven kingdom, so like usually everything's too perfect, anyways.
yeah,
It's
okay.
almost like yeah, heavenly.
There's some kind of sea monster. I mean, that's fine, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they had it. They had that in
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings. Kind of, they had Balrogs and stuff. It
But-
does seem like we're going to get a lot of different territories and terrains,
Realms.
realms. Yes, that we have not seen in the previous Lord of the Rings, which is going to be cool.
That's honestly because I already know I don't like the way it's really shot. So, but other than a few, I mean, some shots are good. I'm honestly more excited about that than anything else because I think me and you kind of have a similar stance on. I don't really have too much faith in really anything that comes out these days unless it's done by a handful of these directors that I can trust.
Yeah.
So even if Amazon contacted Christopher Nolan to do a movie that's an Amazon original, I'd be like, oh well, it's going to be Nolan's work, or let's say Netflix, because Amazon hasn't. I don't think Amazon's done quite enough for me to, or they only do. I think they only do shows. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. Let's say Netflix contacts
Amazon-
Christopher Nolan and it was like, Christopher Nolan, direct this movie. I'm immediately, that's like red flags for me, because I'm like, it's going to be his worst film. Immediately, that's what I think, because like I said earlier in the beginning of the podcast, Nolan can direct as well as he wants to, but it comes down to what Netflix wants in the end, and clearly Netflix wants shitty movies. So
They just want content and they want it fast.
yeah, they treat Netflix like a YouTube channel.
Yeah. They're just too new at. They're just too new
Dude,
at.
they've been around long enough to
No,
know how
but
to
they're to make their own content. No, they're really still in their infancy as far as making their own content.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you
Just
are
take-
going against these guys these legacy companies who've been around for literally since the dawn of film. So
Yeah, it's America. I mean, so they're just. It's all how can we make money? How can we make money? How and eventually it will collapse. And then I've said it before, but then they'll rebuild it into something better, or someone will come up with something better. Or what's going to happen is, and this is already happening, is these smaller agencies or production companies or whatever, they're making these because they're a lot more nimble and easily maneuverable, so they can make things quicker and better. And they've kind of figured out a way to appeal to audiences. Netflix is going to see that, or Amazon's going to see that. They're going to grab, or they're going to try to do business with these smaller production companies or companies or people who are making this content that, and they've built an audience that Netflix wants. So they're just going to grasp onto these smaller companies and just try to make them theirs, or just work together with them. So that's probably what's going to end up happening.
right. So what are your final kind of concluding thoughts on the trailer?
Man. Okay.
Also, they've released about 20 trailers. Can we talk
Yeah,
about
let's
that?
just chill out with the trailer because I feel like I'm
feel like they're
not even
worried.
hyped. Dude, honestly, if it was me, like I would have put out 2 badass trailers that you could not get enough of. That's it, and leave people
Like
waiting.
Batman 2022 did a great job. Like the
Yeah.
trailers for Batman were so sick, and you
Dude, the
didn't know anything
soundtrack,
about it.
something in the way.
But you didn't know what the
Mm,
movie. Well, you knew it was about Batman, but,
yeah,
but you didn't
that's
know what
like
was
all.
going
But
on.
that's all you need to know. This is
Yeah,
about Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. Like it's about Middle Earth.
I think you
That's
could
all
have
you need to know.
done.
You could literally have just what they did. I remember one of the first things they did, or the first images they put out was it looked like obviously it wasn't Gondor or like Minas Tirith, but they had like I think just a single person like walking over the plains with a kingdom in the background, and it just looked incredible. And I was like, oh shit, like that, and it was just one image. It was like a
Yes,
few
it was an
images that leaked,
image, and it was
and
yeah,
you just leave people imagining and wanting more. I think giving people that much, you're giving them a lot to criticize and a lot to think on, but too much to think on. Um, and to me, like I would have obviously gone about it differently. I would have done something. I would have changed the soundtrack. I mean, I would
oh
not have
yeah.
used that song.
I would have used
That really kind of ruined. It did not get me hype at all for it. Like I want to be hyped for it. I don't want to be. I wanted to see some like battles and like I want to see. I want to be immersed in it so much to where like get a visceral feeling from it. Um,
ooh, can we put a bet down?
yeah.
I
What?
bet you there isn't a single satisfying battle scene in this entire first season because people
Yeah.
are so
I
scared
mean,
to make a
yeah.
good battle scene anymore.
The last good battle scene that I saw that was middle age was Battle of the Bastards.
I was about to say that, and
Dude, so sick.
that was sick. But my final thoughts are
Even that was like unrealistic too, though. But I mean, it was cool. You got to think about those hero shots. Like you have Jon Snow sitting there just waiting to get
dude,
trampled
that
on.
shot was amazing, man.
That got me. I mean, I hadn't been that lit and excited for a TV show or just a episode for a TV show to come out probably ever. Because I wanted to see Ramsay Bolton die so much, so badly.
Yeah, and Lord of the
It
Rings
was all
isn't gonna
about
do
that's
a
something we
battle
did.
scene.
That's something that we didn't talk on. I didn't see
What?
any villain. That's a big thing. Probably why I wasn't that interested.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so we didn't see. I think
No, hold on, Wells. Let's build this up a little bit. Let's build this up a
Okay.
little bit because
Okay.
that is I haven't seen anybody talk about that. Let me look at the camera. A movie or a TV show is only as good as the villain. If you don't have a good villain, you're not going to have a good TV show. You're not going to have a good movie. Period. You have to have an antagonist that is compelling, dark, mysterious, almost feels like they're bigger than everything in the universe and you can't tame them and you can't overpower them. And in this, I didn't see that at all. Like, why not put that in the trailer?
Right, because again, I'm gonna go back to Batman because that's just what's on my mind right now.
What are they
You knew-
fighting? What are they
I
what are
think
they
they
going
showed
against?
pictures of the Riddler. That dude looks evil, man. He looks like
Yeah.
he's up. He could do anything. Anything can happen. I hope they don't go the route of, I mean, people have been having a hard time writing villains recently. I think there
They're
hasn't been a
scared,
decent,
man. They're
decent
scared.
villain. We haven't seen the villain yet. It's a trailer, but it does
You
make me
have
kind
to
of
show
like.
the villain in the trailer, dude.
That's true.
That is
What
half of
people
the
are scared
show.
of is that this really, where is that? The white-headed person
God.
is
Yeah, I
a
heard that too.
Sauron, but
That's a mistake.
that
But
would be
that's-
bad. Where is it? I don't know. Right here, right here. There's no way this is Sauron. Let me show my camera or show the screen. There's no way if this is Sauron.
If that's the villain and he's in like broad daylight, blue skies, white, like in white, come on, man. Come
But
on.
Holt's right because like talking about villains. I mean, the whole point of a show is to watch someone go like through jeopardy, and the villain is what's gonna make that story matter. Or why do you
Yeah.
even give a crap about what's going on? And having a nameless villain or a villain that's lackluster, I mean, those stories just don't get off the ground. So
Yep. That was just a big observation. That was just a big observation there. I
we haven't
mean,
seen a villain.
maybe we
mean-
did. But the thing is, if I saw a villain in there and I didn't even know it was a villain, that's another issue within itself.
That's true. That's true because I didn't see a single like menacing look. Or I mean, I guess this is supposed to be menacing. I mean, I don't know. This kind of looks like someone I want to punch in the face. But
Doesn't look very it looks like a keep my mouth shut.
but
I mean, that looks like a transgender.
you're not wrong, but it. God.
I mean, it looks like
Oh.
he or she has titties, but
No, that's a
whatever.
woman. In real life,
Oh,
it's
is
a
it?
woman.
Oh,
Yeah, that's kind of a
yeah, because
reason.
look how skinny her neck is.
Yeah, no, there's no Adam's apple.
It looks
there.
like someone
I would
like
picture Sauron with just a huge girthy, bulging Adam's apple.
a
But,
Gurgy one.
yeah,
Yeah, kind of like I don't even know. I don't
this dude,
know anybody.
this person, if it is a villain in white is also no. Don't
Unless
ever
you're
put a villain in white.
Saruman,
Yeah, but Saruman. Okay,
the
that's true.
stormtroopers.
That's true. Okay, never mind. I'm not good. But
yeah, just because I almost said the same thing. I was like, wait,
never
before
mind.
I say
I'm
something,
gonna retract that statement. But
it
Holt's
does
right.
fit.
There's nothing to be concerned about when you watch the trailer. Like, ooh, like concerned.
What's the
concerned in a
no?
good way.
Okay, no. This is the problem. Another problem. I don't know what the conflict is. It seems like so ambiguous. Like, what are you fighting for, Galadriel?
Also,
And they're
can
just
we talk about the lines, dude?
yeah. It
Like-
seemed like it was like again. It seemed like cutscenes from like they're just trying their best to have one-liners. I can't. One of my biggest pet peeves in movies and shows is like each time someone tries to talk, it's like they're trying to be so profound and have like a one-liner, like a Clint Eastwood one-liner that you can just. And there's only a few people that can do that and get away with it. But if they do that with every character in this show, I'm gonna flip my shit because I cannot stand that. Like not everything has to be loaded. Like you don't have to have. There's like nuance. Let's have some nuance within the dialogue. That it doesn't have to be so profound, you know.
Or funny. Not everything has to be funny.
Yeah, that's true. God, if that's the
But-
case, if they just throw in like terrible humor, I might just have to flip it off, turn it off. I can't stand.
So if you had to rate this trailer, your final rating, Holt's rating, what would you rate it?
Oh, we should do this, dude.
We're
should
doing
do
it
like
right now.
No, we should do like a series, like a trailer rating.
Okay, well, what would you rate this trailer after seeing it?
Well, I gotta be okay. The cinematography for most part was really, really good. Like, but you're gonna have that with $400 something million budget. Like, if you don't have that, at least get out of here. I don't have any complaints with that, the camera work or the DP or anything like that. Now, as far as how it's lit and stuff like that, and how it seems like a lot of stuff's in studio, not on location. I have quarrels with that, but that's really not the DP's fault. It's usually, the director's fault.
Quarrels.
Quarrels. Man, as far as this getting me hyped for a show and making me want to run through a brick wall, which not every trailer has to freaking do that, I understand. I would give this like a 5 out of 10.
Honestly, a trailer's whole purpose. I'm gonna be short with mine. A trailer's whole purpose is to get you excited enough to watch the show. If I wasn't okay, here's a good example. I talk about her quite a bit, but my fiance has seen
Fiance.
has seen little bits and pieces of this trailer. And she was walking by. I was watching the trailer, and she was walking by. She's like, that looks like it's gonna suck." And I was like, I mean, you're kind of right. I honestly, it doesn't get me excited for something that I love.
Are we
That's
too close
bad.
to it? Are we too close to it?
Too
Like,
close
is
to
that
what?
I think a lot of people are too close to this. Like they can't
Like, as
see.
in, like, the Lord of the Rings universe?
Yes. Like
I
they're
mean, are you hyped
blinded.
about it?
People are too close to this series. They're blinded by what they want this to be. I
Oh,
think
yeah,
that's
there's
the
some people
issue.
that are definitely like that, but me and
I
you,
think that's the issue. We're not. We're the opposite. That we've always kind of been like that. Like
yeah,
we might be the opposite where we want it to not be good. Almost like I would love for it to be good, but we're skeptics at heart. We're
I wouldn't say I
contra-
want it to not be good.
we're contrarians at heart, though. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's all. I mean, some of this is subjective. Like I know plenty of people out there that watch The Gray Man and think it's a really, really good film. Objectively, they're wrong, but it's not. But but a lot of people just watch film, TV shows just to be entertained, and a lot of people don't understand why they didn't enjoy a show. They just thought they're like, I just couldn't get into it. Well, there's a reason for that. But it's also stimulation too. Like people just want to be stimulated nonstop. And if it has a story where dialogue drags out or anything like that, and they have to follow along, a lot of people don't like that. But don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that do like that. So I don't want to, put everybody in a box. But
I think that
anyways,
being drip fed until you have like a full cup of enjoyment is the best way to go about it. Game of Thrones kind of did it until they fell flat. Which, by the way, George R. R. Martin wanted to keep that show going for at least till season 10, and he said maybe for 12 or 13 seasons, and they cut it. They basically said no. He thought that's what it needed to really fully go through everything that he wanted. It's kind of his fault though for not finishing the book. But
yeah, at that point you can't. Well, they could have just waited and been patient and like, okay, well, yeah, we're gonna put out another series, but we're gonna have to wait until he finishes, and then we're gonna have to get our show writers and transform the book into a show. And yeah, that's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that we can't talk on.
yeah,
I wish he would have gotten all the books. Well, again, they also could have just waited until he finished all the books to start this.
Yeah.
I get, but there's no way to know how big that series would have been, and there's just a lot of.
it's kind of a mess at the end. But I never even
Yeah.
gave my rating for the trailer.
Sorry, good.
I'm
Hey,
gonna
let's
make
build
it-
this up. Let's build this up. Let's build this up.
My
Wells,
what?
what is your final rating for this trailer that we just watched, Rings of Power?
My final rating for this trailer. Let me go through my thought process on this. It didn't get me excited.
Beep, boop, boop.
Visually, it doesn't look like what I come to expect in Lord of the Rings, and that's fine for some people, but it's not fine for me. And and
We're
I'm
hard to
gonna give
please.
this thing probably 4 out of 10.
That's fair.
Because the trailer is meant to get me excited and it doesn't. That's it. It's visually stunning and all that, but I'm not interested.
Yeah, I would say I gave it a 5 out of 10. I was just trying to be generous, and that was generous because I'm trying my best not to be such a critic, because I can be at times. I don't want to be a negative Nancy all the time. But hey, I just call a spade a spade. If I see it's going to be boo ass trash shit, then
Let's be honest.
know.
This show's not going to be good.
dude, let's just be honest.
Like I just I have no faith in this show. I'm gonna get down to like my actual feelings.
God, what if we're proven wrong, dude? What if we're proven wrong and we just have to swallow our words and eat crow?
I've never heard that saying, "Eat crow," but no, dude, this show I have zero faith in it, and I think it's gonna suck. Straight up, I don't think it's gonna be good. I think we're gonna open up to a first episode where you're like, all right, okay. You're gonna keep getting excited. Something's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen in the first
Dude,
episode.
that is exactly what's gonna happen, man. You're
And
gonna
they're
just
gonna.
sit there and keep waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen, and nothing is going to happen.
I think what you do in that first episode, if I was the director and I'm not, and I'll never will be, is you kill off someone major. It's like, oh, dude, this guy's gonna be a huge
Yeah.
part of the show. Dead.
You definitely need to do that within the first season. Just like
Lord of the Rings is kind of that's not really
Ned,
the thing.
you got to think about Ned Stark. I mean, that was genius. I mean, they started just killing off people like the Red Wedding. That was genius.
I remember
mean-
the episode before the Red Wedding. I texted one of my buddies and I was like, "Man, Rob Stark, he would be a great king." he said,
Did he know?
he just said, "Lol." He responded to me, "LOL." Oh, he's like, "LOL, yeah." And I was like, "All right." And I watched it. I hadn't heard it. I had never watched Game of Thrones like content or anything about it. I'd gone into
This
it.
is before like TikTok and like Instagram
Yeah.
reviews. Like there was no spoilers hopping around really.
Well,
This
when
is-
I
think
started
probably
watching it, there was, but I watched it in 2016, 17. So people were definitely talking about it on the internet, but I wasn't someone who sought that out, so I didn't know anything about it, and I was blown away. I was like, "How could they do that, man? Like, how could they kill off someone so major?" But they always meant. I don't want to go off a tangent. But they just did a great job with that. Rings of Power. I have no faith in this product. I have zero hope that it's going to be good. It's going to be
if it was a
extremely.
stock, we would sell, bearish market.
Yes, I don't. I think that it's going to be uncreative. Do I have any reason to feel this way, having not seen it? Really, no. That's how I feel, and I feel validated in my truth, and that is my truth.
I'm with you there, Wells.
Well, what's your truth? Tell
my
us your
truth?
truth.
Doesn't my truth? There's no such thing as your truth or my truth. There's only universal
truth.
truths. Yeah. But we're not gonna get into that. Okay. So Wells and I still have not seen it. House of Dragon. I want to watch it. I'm probably gonna try to watch it tonight, and I want to give a lengthy. I heard it was bust down, gas, fire, but
Game of
that's
Thrones is
that's
back,
that's
man.
well, that's HBO for
I've
you,
seen it.
man. I really haven't that's HBO for you. I didn't see really much promotion about that show until oh, it's already out. Like that came out before Rings of Power. Like Rings of Power, I thought they've been promoting this show for years. So that's probably another good sign.
I bet you
But-
so many people who don't really follow this kind of stuff are like so confused, because they kind of look similar.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, what is going on?
I keep calling House of Dragon Rings of Power. I'm because they're both like 3 words and just it is somewhat confusing, but it's exciting. It is an exciting time for shows. I will say that.
I like the first episode of. I won't get into it too much. I'll explain why I liked it.
Yeah, let me watch it and then we can. My fiance's coming in.
Y'all have
Hello,
a code
pretty.
lock now.
Yeah, we have a code lock. Wells used to live here and he didn't have the code lock.
Damn.
How are your nails looking? She's nervous. You can't even be. You're not gonna even be seen. But anyways, we're gonna do an episode on that. I really do want to review, that show a lot. But so I want y'all's opinion on this. Whoever's listening or watching still, what do you guys think about us doing? And we're gonna do this episode anyways, whether or not you guys like it or not. But we want some suggestions on characters, and I don't even know how to describe this, but in different worlds. Well, how would you describe it?
We want to do a
It's
matchup.
not limited. It's not limited to like fantasy or anything like that.
No, like it can be like John Wick versus I don't know, Han
James
Solo
Bond.
or James Bond. That'd be way better.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we want to do matchups
That's a good
between
one.
two different characters and kind of talk about really like, go into the depth of why we think those characters will win. Of course, you never would know. That's what's fun about it. It's kind of objective.
You know, Wells, what we should do? We should have a draft board. So kind of like a sweet or like a March Madness bracket, and
Mhm.
have
or you could set that up, or I could
no.
get in
I'm not setting
Microsoft.
that up. Wells, you do that.
All right,
I'm
I
not-
could. I mean, whatever.
That's your job.
So
That's not
you get a bracket and then you go.
so like
all the way
we
to the
vote on
final?
it, but then we put it on our story or we put it all over our Instagram, and we're like, all right, let's vote on these characters, who's going to win what. It's just another interactive way of how like of getting people involved, and this is something people would be very very passionate about, I can imagine,
Yeah.
especially me. So like, who's winning this battle, yada yada yada. So we do like every other day we like put it on our story. All right, so who would win in this? I actually, there's a guy that does this with movies, and I'll send you what he does. But it's genius. But this would be a really cool way. I've never seen anybody do this. I'm sure it might have been done. So we'll create the matchups that we think are fair for the first round, and then we'll probably come up with I'd imagine 16 different matchups, or maybe less, like 8, so 16 different, and then we'll just go from there. But I think that'd be so. Like, obviously, one of the most famous ones is like, okay, who would win, Dumbledore or Gandalf? Like, that's a very interesting, intriguing matchup there.
And sometimes what the interesting thing is like people will go, "Oh, Dumbledore," but then like, wait, would Dumbledore win? Because you start thinking
Yeah.
about like everything the characters can do, all that stuff. But yeah, that's what we want to do with this soon, because our next podcast is probably going to be about this new Game of Thrones television.
And then the next
series.
one is probably going to be literally about the Rings of Power, because it's coming out
Oh yeah,
very, very soon. So I would like to just launch one immediately, like after I watch it. I'm not even going to sleep on it. I'm just going to fire off hot takes.
right. Yeah, we can do that.
All right. Well, I guess we're done. We honestly, this was supposed to be a little bit shorter than this, but I figured it'd go a little longer.
Yeah,
Shoot
so
the
we
shit.
think the Rings of Power trailer was average at very best, and we went over our thoughts on what else did we talk about, Holt? Just to conclude,
So I talked about what I've been doing. We talked about
right?
we had the trivia. We did a review on the Rings of Power. Just talked about that,
The
and
trailer.
then kind of the trailer. Oh yeah, and then shit, I don't remember what we've been talking about this last 10 minutes, but
We just been jabbering on.
yeah. Oh, kind of. We've just been touching on what we want to do next.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the draft we're doing, the bracket.
Yeah, we want as many people to get involved in that too, so we can.
That's
it can
just
be like,
another. That's a way we can be interactive and so.
yeah, audience-driven content.
I gotta get workout, Wells. I gotta get swole. Wells is 180 pounds now.
Okay,
I'm about to get worked out.
let's close this out.
Appreciate y'all listening and or watching. You should probably watch. And we'll catch y'all next time.
Thanks, guys, for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed to us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we are also on TikTok and Instagram. I've covered all the bases. I'm the person who posts this. We really do appreciate you guys sending us. We've gotten a few DMs saying that people like our stuff. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you later.